Greetings, everyone. This is Nathan L. here, TAIFA World Enterprise. And I had a conversation with a friend today, and I'm inspired to start talking about contracts. Okay? Now, contracts are very essential, they're the fabric of everything. You cannot tell me anything that you do in commerce that does not contain a contract. I'm actually going to teach about the parts of a contract. What makes a contract? What is a contract? What's the difference between a contract and an agreement? You have offer and acceptance, consideration, performance, and many other terms that we'll talk about. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because there's an offer made now to the general public. Some people, they offer as much as $36,000. Yeah, they told me I had $36,000 in free money. Yes, that's what I do. Let me tell you a little about what I've learned in my background. I've learned that nothing is really free. When someone say free, you should run the other way, because there's always a hidden agenda. There's always small print, and there's a contract somewhere where you don't know what you have to do. That's what they call an adhesion contract. It's a one-sided contract. A contract has two parties. What are you agreeing to when you accept an offer? What are the terms and conditions of the offer? These are questions the uninformed people never ask. You offer me $6,000, I take it. Not knowing whether that was a verified offer, whether that was, or was it a invitation to negotiate. Now, this legalism is not an easy subject to learn. It's a whole language you have to learn. But the only way to get into it is to start learning it. So I'm going to read this paragraph on offer, and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to break the code, these what they call decoded for you. And I hope to make these classes no more than 20 minutes, if possible, because that's a good way to hold your attention is for 20 minutes. After that, you start getting bored. Okay, this is the offer. Characterizing the communication. That's the heading. You're characterizing the communication. Section 4, generally. Now, this is a general use of an offer. Whether words are words of offer or merely of preliminary negotiations turns upon the question of fact as to whether they arose an expectation in the time on the average reasonable man in the position of the offeree that, if he purports to do what is requested, nothing further need be done by the one making the proposal in order to form a contract. Hence, words which arose such an expectation creates a power of acceptance in the offeree. On the other hand, words which arose such an expectation create the power of acceptance in the offeree. Excuse me, I repeated that. On the other hand, words which arose a lesser expectation merely invites further discussion or an offer from the other party. That sounds like you are speaking another language, doesn't it? And it is another language. They make it language complicated for a reason. Because they want a certain type of person to decode this. Person who's been trained in logic, rhetoric, mathematics. That's what law school is about. It really learning another language. They call it legalism. They make it very complex and confusing. Look at all these compound sentences. One idea after another just strung together. And they supposed to mean something. Okay, let's take the first sentence. Whether words are words of offer or merely of preliminary negotiations turns upon the question of fact as to whether there arose an expectation in the mind of the average reasonable man in the position of the offeree that if he purports to do what is requested, nothing further need be done by the one making the proposal in order to form a contract. Now that's one sentence. Okay, what this is saying is this. I'm decoding it, that sentence now. A question of fact means it takes a jury to determine when you make a contract, when you make an offer in a contract, whether your words were meant to be accepted as face value or whether it was something to be negotiated. That's not something you can know just by the offer. In other words, you have to look at the terms and conditions of the contract to determine the facts so that you have a reasonable expectations. You see that term reasonable come up a lot in law. And that means reasonable man means a person who works on what he has before him without any preconceived ideas or notions. Another word for average. And they presume the average man to be intelligent and to think logically. So that's what they mean by a reasonable person. So I decoded the sentence. Now let's go back and read it again, see if you can understand it better since I decoded it. Whether words are words of offer or merely of preliminary negotiations turns upon the question of fact as to whether there arose an expectation in the mind of the average reasonable man in the position of the offeree that if he purports to do what is requested, nothing further need be done by the one making the proposal in order to form a contract. Wow. All that it's saying again is that it takes people to look at the facts to determine what do the words really mean. They call it the question of fact. A question of fact means a jury. A question of law means a judge. That's why jurors are the ones who determine whether something is a fact or not. All you do when you go before a jury, you present testimony. You admit evidence. And the jury determines whether that is a fact based upon the law given by the judge. This is easy once you understand it. That's why I'm taking my time and going through this, because you have to read something more than once when you're studying law to understand it. Let's finish the paragraph and we'll go on. Hence, words which arouse such an expectation creates a power of acceptance in the offeree. On the other hand, words which arouse a lesser expectation merely invite further discussion or an offer from the other party. Okay, words which arouse such an expectation creates a power of acceptance in the offeree. Because you believe, I'm going to put this, really apply this to the $6,000. Because they said it was free, you expect to receive it with no questions asked. That's your expectations. That there's nothing you have to do for it. But that's not what was said. It wasn't said there was nothing expected of you. They just gave you part of the terms of the contract, but not the conditions. They didn't say how long the offer was good for. They didn't say what was your qualifications to accept it. There's so many things that were left out of that statement. You don't know if it's a valid contract until you read it. Because every contract has terms and conditions of acceptance and performance. Now, one way you could protect yourself from just a blank offer of someone giving you money is you have a written contract that says, I accept your offer of such and such money with the understanding that there's nothing else required of me, that there's no other contract that I have to perform terms and conditions to apply for the $6,000. Because really the $6,000 is an offer. You are applying for it. Now, anytime you fill out any application, the application is worth money. Because when you put your signature and your social security number, it becomes a security. What is a security? A security is a paper that can be traded like money. It has value to it. You can assign it, you can trade it, you can use it as credit. It's good as money. That's what a certificate is. That's what a security is. What's really happening here is that if someone said we're going to offer you $6,000, they say it's free. But how do you know it's free if you don't know the conditions? I'm sure you have to sign something. And most likely you have to give your social security number. Now I'm showing you how what I've learned in law, and I've studied formally law, but I didn't learn much in the law classes. I learned procedures in the law classes. I learned the real law by studying with certain people and just reading it and looking up words. Now, first thing you need to do is get you a law dictionary. Bouvier is the best one. Bouvier law. If you can't find a Bouvier, get a Black's Law dictionary. Don't buy a new one. Go to the thrift store. There's a good one out there in Missouri. What's the name of it? You can get a good law book for less than $5, $10. A new one would cost you some money. I think I paid nearly $100 for a new 9th edition about 10 years ago. Okay, so winding down now. So let me apply this point so you can understand it. Someone offer you $6,000. You don't know the terms and conditions. You don't know what you have to do. You don't know if it's a real contract or not without this knowledge. Now, if you don't get any more information, which I'm sure you will, but just say that was the only thing they gave you, that you just had to sign for it. To be legally binding, you would have to fill out an agreement. The agreement has to say, I agree to accept $6,000 with no terms and no conditions. That way you protect yourself. But what happened to that acceptance, that application? I'm going to end on this point. What happened to the application when you fill it out and put your social security number on it? This is what we're learning in our advanced classes right now. That when you get to a certain level, I'll send you some of these classes, but right now we have to we have to crawl before we walk. I don't think you're even ready to crawl yet, because this is real baby knowledge. Okay, when you sign your signature and you put your social security number on anything, you have created a paper that has value to it. Meaning, it's like you made a $100 bill, a $500 bill, a $1,000 bill. That security is worth money. It's a security meaning this. It means you're gonna get your money. They're gonna get their $6,000 is in your account. And your signature and your social security number is giving someone authority to go into your account and take out that money. That's where it's coming from. It's coming from you. Nobody's going anywhere getting $6,000 and bringing it to you from some other place. That's your own money. because your social is a trust account. Your signature is based on your birth certificate, which is a certificate of security, which is also a trust account. And the DTCC, Deposit Trust Corporate Clearing Corporation. Meaning they have value when they were created. A birth certificate has a value of, last I heard, it was about $2 million. A birth certificate has a value on its creation of $2 million. Your birth certificate has a value on its creation of $2 million. Now, when it's traded, because it's a security, it can be used like money. Were you investing in something or you buying something, whatever? When you put your signature and the social security number, those two trusts, you give authority for someone to go in and take those funds out of your trust account and give it back to you and say, here's your loan. Here's your $6,000. But they got it from you. Okay, I'm going over 20 minutes, so I'm going to cut it off right here. Go back and listen to this. I say at least until you get it, really. Some people get it in 3 to 9 times. Look up the terms. This is the first assignment. You got to look up words you don't understand. You got to look up in a legal dictionary or just go online. Now, look, you are a millionaire once you learn this. You're already a millionaire. You're going to learn how to get your money that they stole from you. You're going to get it back. But you got to work. This is the work you got to do to get it. You don't have to ask somebody for money. You already got it. I'm showing you how to get it. Get your hands on it. Okay? So go back and listen to this recording as many times as you need to until you understand it. It's going to get easier, I promise you. Because law is a course that builds on what you've already learned. So this is the first course that I'm inspired. And I always wanted to do this. But I said, who am I doing it for? So now, being inspired by a good friend, I can start sharing things I've learned 30 years ago, 40 years ago when I went to law school. Okay, so this would be something you'd be doing this week. Just going over this whenever you have time. Studying this paragraph. Get a copy of it if you can. Or just keep going online and write it down from online. That's the best way to do it. But like I said, if you don't like writing, if you don't like reading, don't even start. Because you're not going to change your condition if you don't study to learn how to change your thinking. Didn't say it's going to be easy. But we're doing this for our generations, family to come. If we had been if someone started teaching this when we were supposed to get this in elementary school. Yes, elementals. These are very elements of law. But they're making it so complicated, even law students and colleges can't understand it because they're making it's not that complicated. And you keep telling yourself that, and it won't be complicated. It's not that complicated. And I want you to summarize it in your own words, this paragraph, so you know you got it. And once you summarize it, you can do it in half that space, 5 or 6 sentences. You can do it. You don't need all these words to try to confuse you. That's what you need to look at. They're trying to confuse me. But it's very simple. And you have to keep telling yourself that. All right, I went over my time. This is the first class. I hope to stick to my 20-minute time mark. So until next time, this is Nathan L. of TAIFA World Enterprise of the TAIFA Nathaniel Bay Express Trust. Signing out for now. Today's date, according to the Gregorian calendar, is 26 January 2024.